I suppose I'm conscious that you've listened to, I think, 6 presentations this afternoon, so certainly I'm not going to delay you. It's concluding remarks rather than a concluding speech. But I do want to welcome you to join with the choir of Councillor James Green and welcome you to County Clare. I am conscious as well that you've been tied up in the hotel for most of today, but tomorrow I know you'll get an opportunity to go out and about and see what the GeoPark has to offer and the attractions that are there. I also want to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Patrick McKeever, Chief of Earth Sciences at UNESCO. I particularly want to thank Patrick. I'm going to be speaking later, but to thank him for the work that he has done on behalf of Burn. I think we started off the journey back in 2004 to be a geopark. There has been a number of bumps along the way, but Patrick has always been there to help us over those bumps, and he's been a true supporter and advocate for the Burn, so thanks very much, Patrick, for that. The role of the local authority has been mentioned in a number of presentations today, and I suppose why is Clare County Council involved in the Burn and Lismore Geopark? There's been mention made of our regulatory role, our developmental role, but I suppose one of the roles is becoming more and more to the fore, particularly under local government reform, is our coordinating role. I suppose playing the role of honest broker, bringing people around the table, agencies, organisations, local community, and bringing them around the table to discuss common issues and a common agenda. And it's about putting the framework in place to make that discussion happen. And we are a local authority, we are local government, and everything we do is about the local community. And it's to our local councillors, and we have Councillor Christy Kirkman, Councillor Gabriel Keating still here with us, but it's to our local councillors. We get a feedback from what the local community needs are, and it's a function of the local authority to try to meet those needs. When you look at the programme for today's conference, I suppose Carol and Gabriel focused on achieving a balance, Tina focused on sustainable practices and ethos, Zena talked about developing integrated management, and Joanne, the very important topic of enabling communities to lead. And if you took those 4 items as themes or principles, you could nearly apply them to a lot of things the local authority does, be it in housing, community development, economic activity. But it's how you apply those principles and the choices that you make or decisions that you take in operating under those principles. And I suppose the choices that have been made for the Burn is that it's all about the people, the place, the learning and the livelihood. And that's what the Burn and Lismore Geopark logo behind me says. It's about a way of life, and I suppose it's about embedding particular approaches to how we do business. There's been some talk earlier as well about tidy towns. Bill covered the Ballyvaughan aspect of it, and tidy towns started off as a competition which was really about clean streets, but it's evolved very much into a competition about waste and resource management, the built environment, biodiversity and so on. And it's not unlike Geopark in that Geopark people tend to see geology, but again it's about the people, the learning and the place and the livelihood. And I know from working within the tidy towns, they have a very strong view that some people seem to see tidy towns as a way of attracting visitors to your area. And they have a very strong view as to what they do for themselves, because they are a permanent resident population in this, and if it's good enough for them, well then it certainly will be good enough for the visitors that come to the town. And the idea of achieving awards and designations, I suppose that's a validation that what you're doing is good. It helps to promote the area to a wider field. I think, like tidy towns, the Geopark designation, and we're delighted to have it again for another 4 years. The UNESCO decision there in recent days are all hugely important in validating what we are doing and spreading that message to the wider world. Tina mentioned in her few words about the Fall to Ireland briefing yesterday in tourism, and it was a review, I suppose, of 2015 and looking forward to 2016. And one of the presentations focused on a survey which was done, I think, amongst 1,000 plus visitors. But in that survey, only 23% were aware of the Lismore, which we found somewhat surprising. 9% were aware of the Burn, and 7% were aware of the Wild Atlantic Way. So there is huge scope and potential, but I would concur with the comments that were made earlier. There is a huge challenge there as well, because there's definitely going to be capacity issues in relation to the Wild Atlantic Way. It isn't all about numbers, and something that I think strategically national organisations need to have a look at. But for the Burren, I suppose if only 9% are aware of the Burren, well, there's a lot of people out there to tell the good story to. I suppose the final comment, and to pick up on Gabriel's finishing slides about where do we go from here, a lot of time, effort, resources, investment has gone in by the local community, state agencies, organisations, county council in bringing us to where we are. And there's no doubt that we are in a good place. We are a member of the global Geopark network. We have achieved UNESCO standard, and in recent days we've been nominated for a National Geographic Award. So it is all good, but where do we go from here? And I think it goes back to the presentations about achieving the balance, the sustainability, the integrated management, and the enabling the community. We need to embed those principles as the approach for the Geopark. We need to establish it as a way of life and as a way of doing business. Because I suppose the reality of the world in which we operate is that new ideas emerge, funding sources will reduce, organisations' focus may change, organisations may be directed elsewhere and so on. So I think we do need to take advantage of the window of opportunity that we have at the moment, particularly with the EU LIFE programme, particularly with the support of the Global Geoparks Network and UNESCO, and we need to maximise that opportunity for the benefit of everybody in the Burren. If I could conclude by just acknowledging, I suppose, the support of various groups and organisations. The Geological Survey of Ireland, I think I've been with us from the outset. Firstly, Dr. Patrick O'Connor and now Dr. Sarah Gately. Fault Ireland has been very supportive, and I think Mike the Science is still here, you right earlier on. The Heritage Council, the OPW, the Departments of Art, Heritage and the Gaeltacht, National Museums, NUIG, and I know Gabriel and Joanne through UCD are doing a lot of work which is focused on the Burren area at the moment. But most importantly, the local community, and I think the local community, we've seen many representatives under here this afternoon. They do manifest themselves, if you like, in the Burren Ecotourism Network, which has been established as a very strong network, and I think to respond to a question earlier on, I think it is probably unique in the country. So it is most important that the positive progress continues, and it is most important that everybody stays around that table and that the County Council continues to coordinate as best as can the programme for the Geopark. I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. I hope you enjoy the field trip tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see you all again soon. Thank you all very much.